This is Dan. He's just your average American guy. Today, though, we're going to turn Dan into an Israeli. The first thing we need to do is to give Dan the Israeli look. Well, truthfully, there isn't really an Israeli look. A lot of Israelis are immigrants or descendants of immigrants. Dan was born and raised in Tel Aviv, one of the major cities of Israel, but his parents made Aliyah, or pilgrimage, to Israel from Eastern Europe. Now we're going to change his name. He's not Dan anymore, but Dan. Dan still speaks English because he learned it in school, but in Israel his first language is Hebrew.
שלום, קוראים לי דן, ואני ישראלי.
American Dan was probably Christian. Israel, on the other hand, is an officially Jewish state, which means that a large majority of people are Jewish.
هوا نجيلة فين نسمعها هوا نجيلة فين نسمعها.
But even though Israel is the Jewish state, a lot of people are secular. In fact, half of the population consider themselves non-religious, like Dan. They still celebrate the holidays, study the Bible in school, and understand their religion, but rarely go to synagogue and usually only know basic prayers for Shabbat, the Jewish day of rest.
American Dan lived in a house in the suburbs. Now Dan lives in a kibbutz. A kibbutz is a spread-out socialist community run by committees only found in Israel. Traditionally, people work for the kibbutz in exchange for food, a home owned collectively by the kibbutz, and some pocket money. Today, though, most people own their own homes, work outside the kibbutz, and buy their own things. Dan also knows where the nearest bomb shelter is. He lives far from any danger and has never had to hide in the shelter, but it is there as a precaution.
Dan loves the heat. Israel is mostly desert after all. In fact, Dan can walk 20 minutes from his kibbutz and find himself in the Negev desert, which covers most of Israel. Dan loves to be outside and especially loves to go camping with his friends. Israelis love the land they live in. Just like its culture, Israel's unique geography and climate is a mix of Africa, Europe, and Asia. Israelis also love the young state they've created in their ancient land. Seriously, Israel is so young. Imagine, Dan only has to learn little more than 60 years of Israeli history. That is, plus another couple thousand years of Bible history. Dan does take his education seriously, though. Before he officially enters the Israeli Defense Force for his mandatory service, which is required of all Israeli citizens, Dan got permission to study at the Haifa University for a few years while he completes his basic training. In a year or two, Dan will be enlisting as a commander. כן, מפקד. The week in Israel goes from Sunday to the middle of Friday, when Dan goes home in the early afternoon. Work stops and everything begins to shut down as people get ready for Shabbat, the day of rest. On Saturday, Shabbat, almost nothing is open and people usually spend time with their families. Or sleep. Come Sunday, it'll be back to work.
So we see that Dan still uses the normal Gregorian calendar. However, he also uses the Hebrew calendar, which runs on lunar cycles. There are 12 months of 29 or 30 days, and each begins with the new moon. Since they don't exactly add up to one solar revolution, in every 19 years, there are 7 years with an extra month. It can get confusing. The Hebrew calendar determines when the holidays are, both Jewish, like Hanukkah, and Israeli, like Yom HaAtzmaut, the Day of Independence. Today, the 20th of December, 2013, is the 7th day of Tevet, the 4th month of the Hebrew year 5774.
Along with camping, preparing for the army, and sleeping, Dan likes shopping. Of course, he could always shop at the supermarket, but the shuk, an open-air market where bargaining and haggling are expected of you, is so much cooler. Dan especially loves going to shuks on Fridays, like today, when food vendors are eager to get rid of their goods before the end of the week and make extra low deals. It looks like he spotted a great deal on one of his favorite sweets, baklava, a type of Arab pastry. And he's off. He'll buy the baklava with shekels, the Israeli currency. A shekel is worth a little more than 1 US quarter. Unfortunately, when most people think of Israel, they think of the tense and sometimes unstable political environment surrounding it. What they may not realize is how crazy the internal politics can get too. Israel is a democratic state with an intricate parliamentary system. Right now, there are 17 parties holding seats in the Knesset, the legislative branch of government, and those are just the major parties. On top of that, the different parties are always forming coalitions with one another to do anything from getting a new law passed to electing the next prime minister or president. It is very convoluted. By now, Dan is a true Israeli. He's got the looks, the language, the history, the land, and all the rest of Israeli culture. Well done, Dan.
תודה, היה לי נעים מאוד. אני רוצה להגיד תודה לנוגה, שרי, מיה ואוריאן שייצרו אותי. ותודה לכם שבאתם היום. להתראות.